All right. So, unless you live under a rock somewhere, you know that the United States is currently, in a whole lot of political. It's a whole lot of political stuff going on. Tariffs are in the news a lot. There's a whole lot of that kind of stuff going on, and um, of course, I am not getting into the politics of all that kind of stuff. But I thought about it. There was a headline. I'm looking at this article here. Um, and it says, well, it mentions the fact that supposedly the tariffs will be soon happening with pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals basically just medications and stuff like that. And what that made me think is it might be a good idea or a good time to change your lifestyle with the goal of getting off of as many pharmaceuticals as possible. Because here's the thing, with all of this volatility and stuff, and this has always kind of been my mindset or my attitude toward the medical industry and stuff like that, which I think is really great with some things. Um, but I do think that some of the things that we end up taking medication for, we don't necessarily have to if we address the root causes. Um, but especially with all of this volatility and weirdness going on, it's probably a good idea for us to really go ahead and work toward that. So, case in point, so I don't have any statistics in front of me, but we all know that chronic degenerative disease is very prevalent in the United States. So when I say chronic degenerative disease, what I'm talking about specifically is lifestyle disease. We're talking about high blood pressure. We're talking about type 2 diabetes. We're talking about obesity. A lot of these different kind of things. And a lot of pharmaceuticals that we use are geared toward treating chronic degenerative disease. Again, lifestyle diseases, many of which are caused directly by the American lifestyle. So, and apparently, and again, I had to do more research because I don't know much about the all the logistics of medicines and where they come from. But from the little I see, we get a lot of our medications from overseas. And so if we're starting to have some of this action around here, that could mean that the price of some of these different kinds of medications could be going up significantly. However, I just kind of want to just kind of like just I don't know, just kind of talk about a couple of things that this kind of makes me think about in regard to lifestyle. So again, a lot, and I was thinking about it even today. I was coming back to my office from the gym, and I was thinking about how toxic the American lifestyle is and how it inherently, without being checked, can lead to disease. We are so inundated with stressors, with lack of nutrition, with lack of movement, with lack of sleep, and so many other off branch assaults to the human body. Lack of sunlight, um, um, and the list goes on and on. Depleted soils, so a lot of times, even when we think that we're doing okay, eating our fruits and vegetables, those fruits and vegetables aren't the same quality as the fruits and vegetables of 50, 100 years ago because the way that stuff is grown in the soil is not properly refed, um, the right stuff. And so anyway, here's some of the things I think about. So I've written a couple of books. I'm a personal trainer. I'm not, a doctor, a physician, or medical researcher, or anything like that. I'm just somebody who's been very interested in health and fitness for a long time. So I've done a lot of my own study and I found out different kind of things that help. So obviously, as a personal trainer, you already know I know about the exercise part. You know, you need to develop a movement routine. Movement includes exercise, but you need to include a movement routine that ideally gets you moving most of the day. And if not that, at least something that'll, it'll include a dedicated exercise routine, anywhere from, I'll say, a minimum of 10, 15 minutes to, however long you want it to be, plus getting up several times throughout the day to move, to walk and do something. You need to do that because that's what your body was designed to do. And for us to not do that causes our bodies to become less efficient. It can lead to, like I said, decreased efficiency. It can lead to all kind of issues that can ultimately kind of help cause disease. We need to get our sleep. For most adults, based on what I've read all these years, seems to be 7, 8, 9 hours a night. For younger people, it may be more. For people who are older, maybe less. But 7 to 9 hours is average. You need to be eating lots and lots, excuse me, of fruits and vegetables. Preferably organic or grown in your backyard or something like that, preferably. But at least you need to be eating a lot of those. And I'm not saying don't eat meat or anything like that. I think I personally do eat meat, and I think that this is probably the best way to supply our bodies with, a lot of B vitamins with protein and stuff like that. But I understand some people are vegan, vegetarian, and whatnot. You just need to make sure that you supply those, those proteins and B vitamins in as best a way as you can. But I think the bulk of everybody's diet should be rather vegetables and fruits in that order. You need to be doing whatever you can to not get caught up in all this stressful lifestyle that is presented in our country. And it's difficult. Even considering a lot of the political stuff we have going on now, it's just a lot of stuff going on. And then the news is constantly on and reminding you and this and that, and you kind of wondering like, how should I live and whatnot. you know, but the main thing I just say about that is we need to really be making sure that the way that we live our lives is not any more stressful than it has to be. But then also understand that we need to make sure that we're able to deal with stress because, you know, stress actually some level of stress actually can make you better. But sometimes we become so honestly lacking in resilience that we it's hard for us to deal with anything. Um, but again, think about if you're lifting weights, if you're a weightlifter and you are um trying to lift a weight and then you're so weak that you drop the weight on your chest or something like that. Um, your body doesn't have the capacity to lift that. And so the point that I'm making is, I mean, as it is in, fitness, I think it reflects life that, we go through stressors and whatnot, but like those things can actually make us better. I don't believe in like, I think there's an unnecessary amount of stress that we have because we're so exposed to so many devices and have so much turmoil and stuff going on, not even with politics, but just in life in general. And so we're inundated. But I believe in, dealing with only the stresses that really make sense for us, and then also being able to have resilience so that we can deal with the stuff and get stronger. You need to lift weights. You need to lift weights, whether that be like the actual lifting of free weights and weight machines and stuff like that, or calisthenics, which is like the main thing that I do. Body weight exercise, in other words. Um, but you need to be lifting weights. You don't need to just be doing cardio. You need to maintain and even build muscle because that's going to help you to age well. That's going to help you to handle your blood sugar better, and so on and so forth. Um, what else? What else? Drink your water. We can't really survive well drinking sweet drinks all day. So water needs to be the main drink that you drink, if not the only drink that you drink. I know that's a hard pill to swallow, but again, I'm thinking about things that could help you to possibly, and again, consult your physician. Don't go and tell somebody that I told you, hey, get off your medication. I'm not saying it. I'm talking about these things could possibly help you down that road, but you need to be consulting your doctor along the way. Um, but anyway, what else? So yeah, so lift weights. Lift weights. Um, yeah. Another thing that I do every night is I stretch. Now, stretching in particular, I've heard that directly can help to lower your blood pressure because it helps to reduce stiffness in your trunk area. You know, like in other words, like if you can bend down with a sit and reach and touch your toes, that means you have decent trunk flexibility, which means those blood vessels that travel through your trunk are also more flexible, which means better blood flow through there and that kind of thing. So I would recommend that as icing on the cake. I have a regular prayer time, which I do need to sometimes do better in. Sometimes whenever I'm getting going, I'll skimp on that and not be as focused. But I believe in prayer, praying to God and really taking time to reflect, breathe deeply, and just as the Bible says, be still and know that He is God. Just kind of like reminding yourself that there's only so much that you can control. You control what you can control, but you remember also that God is, you know, there's some stuff. It's on Him, and so you literally put it on Him, and then you just kind of like leave it alone. I believe that you need to make sure you get outside, because that vitamin D that we get from exposure to the sun is so important for so many things, including blood pressure, including immune health, and many other things. Um, make sure you're doing some level of cardio. You don't have to go and kill it. You don't have to go and do something that will make you pass out. Even though I like high intensity, if you're able and you've worked up to it safely, then definitely do cardio, high intensity cardio. But also just walk. Do a whole lot of walking. Do as much walking as you can. To be honest, do as much as you can. So anyway, I'm really just riffing, y'all. My main thing is I know that one of the main reasons that we have such a dependence on pharmaceuticals, which have their pros for sure, but I believe it's because we don't really deal with things at their root cause, and one of the big root causes of disease in our society and the need for pharmaceuticals is our lifestyles. I really believe that. I really, really believe that, and I just think now is probably a good time for you and I to really, really start to dig in and do the best that we can to give our bodies what they need so that we can reduce our need for pharmaceuticals. Because, the thing is, just being honest, I think that I say it's maybe a good time now because with a lot of the political stuff going on, it could raise prices and things like that. So, not only would you be saving yourself, improving your health and saving yourself from having to take medicine, you could also be improving your finances at the same time. So, anyhow, that's just my 2 cents. Like I say, I stay out of the political debate online, but hopefully, this is something motivational to you. There's a lot of other things you can do, but I try to mention some of the main things. And I end there. Y'all have a good one. As we get older, it becomes increasingly important to maintain and build muscle. Muscle helps you burn fat, stay mobile, and can contribute to longevity. However, many people have no idea how to work out to build muscle. My mini workout series on Patreon provides you with my body weight mini workout video library. These workouts use little to no equipment, which means that you can do them in the privacy of your own home. They start at beginner level and progress from there to ensure you continue to see results. Every workout is a full body workout, hitting chest, back, legs, and glutes, as well as other muscles in between. Become a patron today and receive access to my series of mini workouts, plus access to a digital copy of my book, 8 Weeks to Transform Your Diet and Your Health. By combining the workouts with healthy diet changes, as outlined in my book, you'll definitely be on your way to weight loss, improved health, and visible results. Join me at patreon.com/SeanB2B Fitness today.